700 years ago, a secret was buried beneath the soil. It was not a weapon nor a treasure, but a trick, a way to outlast famine, plague, in the merciless winters of medieval Europe. Entire villages survived because of it, and while the modern world forgot, one community never did. The Amish still guard this ancient practice, using it quietly, faithfully, as if time itself had stood still. What is this 14th century secret, and why does it remain more powerful than the machines we trust today? In the 14th century, Europe was a continent under siege, not by armies alone, but by hunger itself. Fields lay barren after years of unpredictable weather. Grain harvests failed, livestock perished, and the specter of famine haunted every village. The Black Death compounded the misery, stripping away laborers and leaving families desperate to stretch whatever food remained. Survival demanded ingenuity. Salt was precious, firewood scarce, and drying unreliable in damp climates. Yet peasants discovered that the earth itself could be their ally. By carving chambers into soil and stone, they created root cellars, cool, humid sanctuaries where cabbages, apples, and carrots endured long after harvest. These underground vaults became lifelines, sustaining households through winters when fresh food was a memory. Centuries later, across the Atlantic, the Amish would inherit this wisdom. Rejecting electricity and modern refrigeration, they preserved the medieval trick almost unchanged. In their quiet farms, beneath barns and homesteads, the same cool silence shelters food today. What began as a desperate measure in medieval Europe has become a deliberate choice of resilience, binding two worlds, separated by oceans and centuries, through a single, enduring practice. Modern gardening is often romanticized as a return to nature, but the truth is far more complicated. Today's gardeners face challenges that medieval peasants would recognize instantly, yet with a modern twist. Soil, once rich and self-renewing, has been stripped by decades of industrial farming. Nutrients are depleted, microbial life diminished, and what remains often requires chemical fertilizers to sustain even modest yields. The ground that once gave freely now demands constant intervention. Pests, too, have evolved alongside our methods. Where medieval farmers battled locusts and rodents, modern gardeners contend with invasive species, resistant insects, and diseases spread rapidly through global trade. The solution offered by modern systems is chemical warfare, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, yet each spray weakens the balance further, killing not only pests, but pollinators, soil organisms, and the very resilience of the ecosystem itself. Dependency has become the defining feature of modern gardening. Seeds are purchased annually, often hybridized to prevent saving. Tools rely on electricity, irrigation systems on pumps, and harvests on refrigerated storage. The gardener is no longer sovereign. They are tethered to supply chains, vulnerable to shortages, rising costs, and technological breakdowns. A single power outage can spoil months of effort. A disrupted shipment can leave shelves bare. Contrast this with the old world systems. Medieval farmers, and later the Amish, built resilience into their methods. They relied on soil enriched by compost and manure, not synthetic inputs. They stored food in cellars carved from earth, immune to power failures. Their seeds were saved, their tools simple, their systems designed to endure. Where modern gardening often feels like a battle against nature, theirs was a partnership with it. The irony is stark. With all our advances, modern systems are fragile. They promise abundance but deliver dependency. They offer convenience but erode sovereignty. The medieval trick, the root cellar, was not glamorous, but it was enduring. It required no chemicals, no machines, no fragile networks. It was a covenant with the earth itself. And the Amish, by preserving it, remind us that survival does not always depend on innovation. Sometimes it depends on remembering. This contrast is not merely historical, it is urgent. As climate change disrupts growing seasons, as supply chains falter, as energy costs rise, the weaknesses of modern gardening become clear. Soil degradation,
Pest resistance, chemical dependency, these are not minor inconveniences, they are cracks in the foundation. And while many search for futuristic solutions, the Amish quietly demonstrate that the answer may lie in the past, a 14th century trick, still alive, still powerful, still waiting to be rediscovered. Digging into earth, villagers carved chambers into clay or stone, believing the soil itself could cradle life. The cool underground air slowed decay, turning the ground into a natural vault. Stone and timber reinforcement. Walls were lined with rock or wood, keeping chambers stable through centuries. Families trusted these silent fortresses to guard their harvest. Layered storage. Root crops were stacked in straw, apples wrapped in leaves, each layer a shield against rot. Seasonal rhythm. Food was lowered in autumn, retrieved in winter, a ritual of survival that still sustains Amish families today. On Amish farms, the root cellar is still a cornerstone of daily life. Beneath barns or tucked into hillsides, families store potatoes in straw, apples in wooden crates, and carrots layered in damp sand. Jars of preserved fruit line stone shelves, kept cool by the earth's steady temperature. In winter, children carry baskets down narrow steps, retrieving food harvested months earlier. No electricity hums, no machines are needed, only soil, stone, and patience. What began as survival in medieval Europe now sustains Amish households with quiet reliability, proving that the old ways remain practical in the modern world. Medieval systems were designed with one purpose: survival. Every method, whether storing food underground or saving seed, was built to endure scarcity and uncertainty. Modern systems, by contrast, prioritize speed, profit, and convenience. They deliver abundance quickly, but often at the cost of resilience. The Amish remind us that survival is not about efficiency, it is about continuity. Their cellars, their soil, their patience embody a mindset we can learn from. Build systems that last, not just systems that sell. In a fragile world, endurance may prove more valuable than speed. Build a mini cellar. Even a small pit or insulated box in the ground can extend the life of root crops. Layer with natural materials. Use straw, sand, or leaves to cushion and protect vegetables, just as medieval farmers did. Choose hardy crops. Potatoes, carrots, beets, and apples store best in cool, humid conditions. Practice seed saving. Preserve independence by replanting from your own harvest. Think in seasons. Plan harvests with storage in mind, not just immediate consumption. Simple steps, yet they echo centuries of resilience. 700 years ago, survival meant listening to the earth. Today, convenience often drowns out that wisdom. The Amish remind us that endurance is not found in machines, but in patience, soil, and silence. The medieval trick of the root cellar is more than storage, it is a philosophy. Prepare for tomorrow, respect the cycle, trust the ground beneath your feet. If we forget these old ways, we risk losing more than food. We risk losing resilience itself. Sometimes the most powerful future is hidden in the quiet lessons of the past.